Move out of the way, a man's voice shouted, his tone urgent, echoing through the dark, rain-soaked market. Clara froze. Her bare feet were covered in mud, her hands still gripping the tray of smoked fish she hadn't sold that night. She turned and saw headlights rushing toward her. Before she could move, a black car swerved, smashed into a fruit stand, and came to a screeching stop right beside her stall. Glass scattered, steam hissed from the engine. Then the car door burst open. A tall man in a torn suit stumbled out. Blood on his temple, his expensive watch glinting even under the rain. He looked lost, scared, and hunted. "Please," he gasped, eyes locking on Clara. "Hide me, please." Clara blinked, confused. "Hide you? From who?" Before he could answer, two black SUVs sped into the market, their headlights slicing through the darkness. Men in black suits jumped out, scanning the area. The man grabbed her wrist. "Please, just trust me." Without thinking, Clara pulled him behind her tiny wooden stall, pushed open a back door leading to her shack, and hid him under the table where she stored her baskets. She shut the door just as the men stormed in. One of them barked, "Did a man run through here?" Clara swallowed hard, heart pounding. "No, sir. Only me." The man's sharp eyes studied her. Raindrops ran down her cheek, but she didn't blink. After a tense second, they turned and left. When she finally exhaled, the man crawled out, breath shaking. He looked at her, a poor village girl with fish smell on her hands like she'd just saved his life. He whispered, "You don't know what you've just done for me." Clara folded her arms, trying to sound brave. "Then maybe you should start by telling me who you are." "Min Jai Han," he muttered faintly, his lips trembling as Clara pressed a wet cloth to his forehead. Clara froze. "What did you say?" He winced, opening his eyes slightly. "My name, Min Jai Han." Her heart skipped. "You're that billionaire everyone's been talking about." He tried to sit up, breathing heavily. "Please, don't tell anyone I'm here." "Why?" "What happened to you?" she asked, fear and curiosity mixing in her voice. He looked around the tiny hut, the leaking roof, the faint smell of fish, the worn blanket she had wrapped around him. "They're after me," he said softly. "People I trusted. I can't go back to the city now." Clara stepped back. "Then you should leave." "You can't stay here." He groaned in pain, clutching his side. "If I step outside now, I'll be dead before morning." Clara bit her lip, torn. "You're bringing trouble to me." "I'll pay you," he said quickly, his voice breaking. "Just let me stay until morning." She sighed deeply. "Money can't fix everything, Mr. Billionaire." "But fine. One night. Only one night." She turned to grab an old mat, spreading it beside her own bed. He watched her quietly, this woman, soaked, tired, yet unshaken by his name or wealth. When she handed him a bowl of warm fish soup, his hand brushed hers. "You made this," she shrugged. "That's what I do." Sell fish, cook fish, dream fish. He gave a faint smile for the first time. "It's good." But before Clara could respond, there was a knock. 3 slow taps on the wooden door. Her heart pounded. She grabbed a lantern and whispered, "Stay quiet." Peeking through a crack, she saw 2 men in black coats standing outside, rain dripping from their hats. One spoke in a deep voice. "We're looking for a man. Korean, tall, injured. His car was found nearby." Clara turned, her eyes meeting Jai Han's terrified gaze. She whispered, "Don't move." Opening the door halfway, she forced a calm tone. "You think he's here?" "In a fish hut?" The taller man narrowed his eyes, scanning the room behind her. "If you see anyone suspicious, call us." He handed her a card. Clara nodded, shutting the door slowly. Her hands trembled as she locked it. Turning around, she found Jai Han standing now, weak but determined. "You saved me," he said quietly. "I owe you." "Don't thank me," she replied coldly. "Just leave before sunrise." But as lightning flashed again, thunder rumbling across the sea. Before dawn came, Min Jae Han wake up to the smell of fish stew and the sound of Clara screaming. "Ah!" Clara's scream pierced through the humid air. Min Jae Han jolted up, clutching his chest. "What happened?" Clara pointed to the doorway, trembling. A man's silhouette stood outside, one of the men from last night staring straight at her window. Min Jae Han rushed forward, pulling her behind him. The man ran off instantly, vanishing into the misty dawn. Clara's breath shook. I told you they'd find you. He turned to her, his voice calm but firm. Pack your things. What? You can't stay here anymore. If they know you helped me, you're in danger too. She froze. Where do you expect me to go? I sell fish for a living. Then come with me, he said quickly. Just for now. I'll keep you safe. Clara laughed bitterly. A stranger who almost got me killed wants to protect me? Min Jae-han looked her straight in the eyes. Not a stranger. Someone who owes you his life. Her heart skipped. His tone wasn't demanding, it was sincere and desperate. Moments later, she grabbed a small bag, looked around her tiny hut one last time, and whispered, If I die following you, I'll haunt your billionaire ghost. He smiled faintly. Deal. As they stepped out, the first light of dawn broke over the shore, and behind them, the man in black watched from the trees, speaking into a small device. He's not alone anymore. Clara's slippers slapped against the wet ground as she followed Ye-han up the rocky path. The morning fog wrapped around them like smoke. Where are we even going? She panted. To the pier, he said, his voice low. I have a man there who can help us leave. Leave? You mean run away? Survive, he corrected. Suddenly, a black SUV screeched around the bend below. Clara's heart stopped. Men in suits jumped out, shouting in Korean. Min Jae-han grabbed her wrist. Run! They sprinted through the hills, mud splashing their legs. Clara tripped on a stone, and he caught her just before she hit the ground. I told you I'm bad luck, she gasped. He smirked breathlessly. Then we're both cursed. Bullets cracked through the air, hitting the trees. Birds scattered. Clara screamed, clutching his arm. They ducked behind a boulder. Min Jae-han pulled a small device from his pocket, pressing a hidden button. My people will trace this signal. Just hold on. She looked at him, eyes wide. Who are you, really? His jaw tightened. Someone who was supposed to die last night. The sound of engines roared again. They had been spotted. Clara, when I say run, she interrupted, voice trembling but fierce. You're not leaving me behind, Min Jae-han. He blinked at her. This poor village girl standing tall and fearless. And for the first time, the billionaire didn't see a savior. He saw an equal. For a heartbeat, time froze. Then Min Jae-han yanked Clara's hand and pulled her toward the woods. Then stay close. They tore through the thick brush, branches slapping their faces. The sound of gunfire echoed behind them. Clara's lungs burned, but she didn't let go. She could hear the men shouting, their boots pounding closer. This way, Jae-han hissed, spotting a narrow gap in the cliffside. They squeezed through, landing in a shallow cave. Both of them gasped for air. Clara pressed her palm to her chest. You said your people would come. Where are they? He stared at the blinking device in his hand. The light had gone out. They must have jammed the signal. So what now? He looked up at her hair messy, her face streaked with dirt, yet her eyes steady. Now we trust you're as lucky as you are stubborn. Despite the danger, she let out a shaky laugh. I told you I sell fish, not miracles. A sudden noise outside made her freeze. Footsteps and voices. Min Jae-han motioned for silence and drew her deeper into the cave. He crouched, his hand hovering protectively near hers. The air grew thick with tension. Then, quiet. The footsteps faded. She exhaled slowly. Are they gone? For now, he whispered, but they'll be back. And as the cave fell silent again, Clara realized this was no longer about saving a stranger. She was part of his fight now. Clara hugged her knees, the cold rock biting through her skirt. Min Jae-han sat opposite her, staring at the lifeless device in his palm. His jaw flexed, his face shadowed by frustration. They'll find us soon, he muttered. Then what? Clara asked quietly. You fight them with a rock? His lips twitched, not quite a smile. If I have to. Before she could reply, a faint beep echoed from the device. The light flickered back on. Jae-han's eyes widened. It's working again. Clara leaned closer. Your people? Maybe, he said, standing. Or maybe the ones chasing me. The beeping grew faster. A voice crackled through the static. Sir, we've got your signal. Stay put, Clara frowned. That doesn't sound right. Min Jae-han froze. His expression darkened. That's not my man's voice. Suddenly, floodlights cut through the cave mouth. Shadows loomed. Armed men, shouting in Korean. Run! He barked, pulling Clara toward the back of the cave. They squeezed through a narrow tunnel that opened onto a hidden cliffside trail. Bullets shattered rocks around them. Clara screamed as a fragment grazed her arm. Min Jae-han caught her before she fell. Don't stop, he hissed. I'm fine, she gasped, clutching his sleeve. Just go. They stumbled into the open night, the sea roaring below, nowhere left to hide. Then from a distance, a black helicopter descended through the mist. Min Jae-han's voice was low but steady. That one's mine. The wind whipped fiercely as the helicopter hovered above the cliff. Its searchlight sliced through the fog like lightning. Min Jae-han gripped Clara's hand tighter. Come on, he shouted over the roar of the blades. Two men in black harnesses descended from the chopper, yelling something in Korean. Clara's heart pounded. She didn't understand a word, but she saw the urgency in their gestures. Min Jae-han pushed her forward. They're my team! Gunfire erupted again from the woods. The men chasing them had arrived. Bullets clanged off the rocks. Clara ducked, screaming. Min Jae-han threw his arm around her, shielding her body with his. Go, Clara! Climb! She hesitated only a second before gripping the rope ladder. Her hands burned as she climbed, hair whipping wildly. Below, Min Jae-han fired back with a handgun he'd snatched from one of his guards. Min Jae-han, she cried, looking down. I'm right behind you. As he reached the ladder, a bullet grazed his shoulder. He grunted but kept climbing. The pilot swung the helicopter away from the cliff, tilting hard over the crashing waves. Clara clung tighter, tears streaming from the wind. You're bleeding. He met her eyes through the blur and managed a faint smile. You said you sell fish, not miracles. But I think you just saved one. The helicopter soared into the clouds, leaving the gunfire fading behind them, and Clara realized her life as a poor fish seller was gone forever. Clara woke to the faint hum of machines and the smell of disinfectant. For a moment, she thought she was dreaming until she saw the glass walls, the ocean view, and Min Jae-han seated beside her, his arm bandaged. Where are we? She whispered. He looked up from his tablet, eyes tired but soft. My safe house. No one can find us here. She sat up slowly, noticing the silk sheets beneath her calloused hands. Everything glowed. The marble floor, the digital fireplace, even the quiet that filled the air. I shouldn't be here, she murmured, glancing at her reflection. I'm just a fish seller. Min Jae-han stood, walking toward the window. The sun broke through the fog, painting him in gold. You're the reason I'm alive, Clara. That makes you more than you think. Her chest tightened. Why were they trying to kill you? He hesitated, then turned to face her. Because I uncovered something. I uncovered corruption inside my own company. Someone powerful wants it buried. She swallowed hard. And now I'm part of it? His gaze softened, a faint smile tugging at his lips. You were part of it the moment you pulled me out back then. Silence lingered between them, heavy and charged. Outside, the sea waves crashed against the cliff, wild and endless, just like what was building between them. And for the first time, Clara didn't feel like a fish seller. She felt seen. That night, Clara couldn't sleep. The mansion was too quiet, too perfect, like it was holding its breath. She slipped out of bed and found Min Jae-han in the living room, staring at a holographic map projected from his tablet. They've traced the offshore accounts, he said without looking up. The people chasing me are closing in. Clara frowned. Then why are we still here? We should run, he sighed. Running only delays it. I have to end this. Before she could reply, a faint click echoed through the hall. Both froze. The lights flickered, then went out completely. Min Jae-han grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind the marble counter. They found us! Glass shattered. Bullets ripped through the air. Clara covered her ears, trembling as he returned fire from a hidden compartment beneath the table. Min Jae-han, she screamed. Stay down, he shouted, his voice fierce but shaking. Smoke filled the room. The power came back just long enough for Clara to see one of the masked men charging toward him. Without thinking, she grabbed a broken glass shard and swung, catching the man off guard. He fell with a groan. Min Jae-han stared at her wide-eyed. Clara, I told you, she gasped, breathing hard. I don't sell miracles. I sell fish, but I can fight for one. Sirens wailed in the distance, his backup team finally arriving. But Min Jae-han couldn't take his eyes off the village girl had just saved him again. The chaos ended at dawn. The men were arrested, and the house was silent again, except for the soft rhythm of the ocean waves. Clara sat on the balcony, her hands still trembling. She had never imagined her life would cross paths with a billionaire, much less one who had almost died twice in her arms. Min Jae-han stepped outside quietly, his arm bandaged but his eyes calm for the first time in weeks. You saved me. Again, he said softly. She gave a tired laugh. Guess that makes us even. He shook his head. No, Clara. You didn't just save my life. You gave it meaning. Before she could speak, he dropped to one knee. The morning light spilled over him, golden and unreal. I could rebuild my empire, hide behind money and guards again, he said, voice trembling, but none of it matters without you beside me. Clara froze, heart pounding. Min Jae-han. He pulled a small silver ring from his pocket, the same one she had seen him wear the day they met by the pier. It's all I have left that's truly mine. Until now, tears filled her eyes. Are you sure? You're everything, Clara, he said. She covered her mouth, sobbing as he slipped the ring on her finger. The once-lost billionaire and the brave black fish-selling village girl stood together, the sun rising behind them, proof that love can find you even when the world falls apart. The moral lesson of this story is that true love doesn't care about wealth, class, or background. It recognizes kindness, courage, and loyalty. Sometimes the people who seem ordinary are the ones who carry the strength to heal broken souls.